Welcome to Not So New News, where we discover what is hidden in the newspapers from 100 years ago. Today's article comes from the town of Whitesburg and appeared in Letcher County's oldest newspaper, the Mountain Eagle. Volume 2, number 18, dated December 31st, 1908. This reading is from the writings done in 1908. These views are from that time period and do not necessarily reflect the modern views of Kentucky-Tennessee living nor its narrator. However, we feel that all historical documents must be preserved for the future and strive not to change one word of the reading. However, if we feel that the readings are too controversial in political or religious standing, we will either silently put the article up for viewing or will direct everyone to where it can be found online. Thank you for your understanding. In the days of airships, immense sacrifices will be necessary if we shall escape the book agent. Slowly but surely, the pursuing craft overtakes us, although we crowd the motor to every revolution possible. At last, the other craft draws up alongside. Quote, "Excuse me," unquote, says the occupant. Quote, "A friend of yours has given me your name as one who is interested in good literature. I am making a special easy payment rate on the 80-volume set of the History of the Inventions of the World. These sample volumes, I am sure, will interest you," unquote. But with a groan of despair, we have cut in the auxiliary motor and are leaving him. With a shout of baffled rage and renewed determination, the crafty agent sacrifices 4 sample volumes and is relieved of much ballast as he sails alongside once more. Where is it? Elsie. Do take me on your lap, uncle. Another sufferer. Quote, "Ah," unquote, said the shabby beggar as he shivered from the pelting sleet. Quote, "You don't mind weather like this?" Unquote. Quote, "Who doesn't?" Unquote, hastened the man in the fur-lined overcoat. Quote, "Why, it is the hardest weather on the automobiles I have ever saw in my life." Unquote. U.S. Marshal Sale. By virtue of execution number 619, directed to me, which issued from the clerk's office of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Kentucky, in favor of the United States of America, plaintiff against Jim Banks, defendant for $1,179.27. I, or one of my deputies, will on Monday, January 4th, 1909, between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m., at the courthouse door in Whitesburg, Letcher County, Kentucky, expose to public sale to the highest bidder the following property, or so much thereof, as may be necessary to satisfy plaintiff's debts, interest, and costs, to wit, a certain tract of land in the county of Letcher, state of Kentucky, on Bee Tree Fork of Smoot Creek of North Fork of Kentucky River, beginning at a stake in the branch, at which point where the conditional line between James Banks and Williams Banks crosses the Bee Tree Fork, thence running up and with the meanders of said branch to the fence at said Jim Banks's house, thence on up the general direction of said branch, with the fence that runs up to the right of said branch and to the left of the public road, going up said branch to the top of the mountain, to said James Banks' outside line, where the road crosses said mountain, thence back around with the top of said mountain, and with said Jim Banks's outside line on the right-hand side of the branch, going up to William Banks's land, thence down the hill towards said Bee Tree Fork, with said conditional line between said Jim Banks's and William Banks's to the beginning, and being all the entire interest of the heirs of Harrison Banks, deceased, they having conveyed the same to James Banks by deed dated April 26, 1890, and recorded in Deed Book L, page 499, Letcher County Court Clerk's Office. For more specific description, see said record, levied upon as property of Jim Banks. Sale will be made for cash in hand. Witness our hands the 7th day of September, 1908. By F. M. Blair, Deputy U.S. Marshal. S. G. Sharp, U.S. Marshal. A bachelor's opinion of it. Random thoughts of a roving mind. I do not know Mary Stanifer. I wish I did. Her last letter in the Eagle, though too severe in the supposition that, quote, the shoe is fitting pretty tight, unquote, expresses the most profound thought in the most forcible language. The highest education any woman can be given is found in the exquisite art of making home happy. This is one of the fine arts that man cannot attain. A man fain would rule the world by might. Woman was born to rule the world by love. While man belabors his weary brain to solve the great problems of state, women should be studying that culture and refinement that will make her the idolized wife of an adoring husband. Girls who think that you ought to have an education like that of your brothers, what is your ambition? To be great physicians and ride through the light and darkness, heat and cold, to relieve suffering humanity? That is a noble impulse. But if your brother can do the work as well, had you better not let him have the job? Would you be lawyers at the bar, where witnesses are often compelled to testify to things that would shock the modesty of even great criminals themselves? Would you be great rulers of state and crush the rum powder with a mighty hand? Even in this high ambition, you would often have to witness the utter misery of fallen and depraved humanity, and instead of offering the great succor of a woman's love, would be compelled to crush them with a heavy hand of the law. Search the world for a record of happy homes. Do you think you will find them where the children are left in the care of servants, while the wife and mother spends her time in politics or money getting? What is it that makes men love and cherish women more than their own lives? It is that implicit trust in his great power, and that consciousness of her own weakness that makes her fly to his arms for protection even when there is no danger. Maybe some of you have heard Mrs. Beauchamp's lecture. I have, and while listening with the greatest admiration to her eloquent, vigorous, and masculine denunciations of Gaft, I could not help feeling that she had lost all womanly charm that would make it a real pleasure for a loving husband to take her in his arms and shield her from all harm at the cost of his own life. Would mortgage the farm. A farmer on Rural Route 2, Empire, Georgia, W.A. Floyd by name, says, quote, Buckner's Arcania salve cured the two worst sores I have ever saw, one on my hand and one on my leg. It is worth more than double its weight in gold. I would not be without it if I had to mortgage the farm to get it, unquote. Only 25 cents at Whitesburg drugstore. This concludes today's reading of the December 31st, 1908 Mountain Eagle. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for your continued support as we bring to you the history of the Appalachian Mountains.